And we're back just in time for our Stepladder final here. Opening match. Parker Bohn III and Tom Adcock. Craig Elliott along with Michael Huggan Jr. on the call here. Welcome, Michael, after you just got done competing out there this evening.
Thanks, Craig. It's good to be back here, but wish I was one of the guys bowling. But I'll take a top 8 after the couple of years I've had, and since Tom Carter's not here, I'll do my best to try to make this not boring for the folks at home.
Do your best Tom Carter impersonation?
No, I'm not going to do that. He's pretty good at what he does up here. I'm usually a pretty good sidekick, so if you can do the Tom Carter impersonation, I'll sidekick you and we'll be okay.
All right, we'll see what we can do. We've taught Tom well. He's doing a great job. Hopefully he makes it back with us in the Villages next week. And big shout out to Linda. Hope you're doing well. So this stepladder here, Michael, there's a couple Hall of Famers in it. 4, actually.
Yeah, just a few.
It's pretty stout field for the second event here on the PBA50 Tour season here in 2024.
Yeah, no doubt the cream rise at the top this week, and it's a pretty powerful top 5 show, so I'm looking for some excitement here. Parker
came in as the, I guess the golden ticket, the lucky dog, the whatever term we still haven't really come up with the proper term for that. But he was a high-seed loser, and here he is with new life to try to run this stepladder, and it's going to take some work. Interesting though, 3 of the guys on the show made this show here last time we were here 2 years ago.
That's true.
Barnes beat Tom Hess in the finals, and Tom Adcock was on that show as well.
That is correct. Certain houses, the characteristic of the lane surface favors certain rolls, certain tilts, and guys find that history repeats itself for them in these bowling centers, so no surprise there. And you're talking about Chris Barnes and Tom Hess, so they're 2 of the best players on the PBA50 Tour, so no surprise there in the show.
And they just keep falling like dominoes for Tom Adcock. And the one stat I found interesting is looking through some of the numbers during the break, though, is these 5 players, the guy that's had the longest drought on this tour is Walter Ray.
Yeah, he's the winningest player on this tour.
On every tour.
And then out of these, like you said, out of these 5 players, yes, he's gone the longest without a victory. So,
as Tom Adcock got his first win last year, he'll defend in the Villages, started in just a few days. Parker did not win last year, but Tom and Chris, they won a little bit last year.
It's interesting that Adcock has decided to move back left and go to a bigger ball. The last match, he actually threw urethane up the 4-5 board and was able to prevail in that match. So what a difference pairs make, and what a difference 15 minutes of practice and maybe a little defensive strategy for some of the players have forced Adcock off that spot. I don't know.
He's shown some versatility. I'm not sure if you caught the match, and he bowled over here on, 29-30 against, or 27-28 against Troy Lint. Where he actually threw urethane in practice up 2-3 and jumped on top of that, shot 300 the first game. So I think other players saw that and said, we can't let him do that again, because he had half a lane. He threw great shots, but he worked himself something that wasn't there all week long. So yeah, it's a good strategy to make him push in a little bit and deal with what the rest of you mortals dealt with, right? The 2 10 combos, the 2 8-10s, that kind of pop in when you miss just a little bit or get a little bit quick with it.
Yeah, surprisingly, I saw that in both days of qualifying and the 4 games this morning. And maybe a touch in the first match, but after the second round, or the first round of match play this morning, the whole field almost moved right. We were able to play straighter, and the ball actually, gave us a little hold, a little swing out there, which we didn't have all week out there, which was quite surprising. So I didn't see too many 2-10s the last 2 matches, but unfortunately I saw a few missed lefts that didn't come out too well for me. I saw that a few times against Walter, and that was the end of it.
Well, and there's no shame when you lose to Walter Ray, because he bowled great today, as you did in your first match as well. But there's unfortunately somebody's got to lose.
Yeah, I had a chance to force game 3. I missed Messenger 10 in the 9th and doubled in the 10th to force him to get the first one, and he did. So hats off to him. He did what he needed to do, and that's why he has more wins than anybody, because he does it more often than everybody else. So, no shame in that. Like I said, the last couple of years have been a struggle, and to make a top 8 and have a chance at the show, it felt really good. So, but I kind of had the same thing Parker had there. You miss inside your target a little bit, and the ball's not holding right now. And Parker being the only lefty, he might not be able to develop that.
Yeah, he didn't. His first game in that last match was pretty rough, but he still makes the stepladder. So whenever you give a guy like that a chance, anything can happen.
Absolutely, and being the only left-hander in the show, if he's able to figure it out and follow his own transition, he could be pretty tough the rest of the day if he gets it going. But as you said earlier, it's a very strong field, and he's got his work cut out for him, as does Tom if he were to get there as well. It's not going to be easy.
So an early advantage for Tom Adcock with that open frame from Parker. If he can capitalize and get 3 in a row after an opening spare. I think he moved in even more, huh?
Yeah, this pattern, you look at it on paper and you think you should be just a little left of the track, and you should be able to parallel the track and then chase it in, but you really couldn't do that here. There was so much friction in the middle of the lane that we had. You're almost forced, like you said, Tom moved in a little bit more. You're almost forced into that spot and forced to go away from the pocket earlier than you wanted to here. So. And even, he did leave the 7. So of course he adjusts off missing in a little bit and gives that a little bit more room, and it hangs. So exactly what you were talking about earlier. This pattern is creating a little over-under for us, and it's showing for Parker.
There's a look at the Billy Hardwick. So it's 44 feet, buffed out to 44 feet. So what is it that made this pattern so tricky then, Michael?
I think it's just a friction in the house.
Okay.
Probably a little bit older surface, and there's just, when you have built-in friction, like I said, you would look like you could parallel in and shim it to the track, but you really couldn't. You had to get in and throw it to the track, and if you didn't do that, you got kind of what Parker's got going on right now. So, and now he's kind of at a big disadvantage. Obviously, he's behind the match, but he has no one helping him break this lane down. So, it's going to be a tall order for him to get it done. I mean, you never count him out, but it's going to be a tall order for Parker to move on now.
Yeah, I think in other events, having to side yourself is sometimes beneficial, but the way this pattern played in this center, you need a little bit of help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm actually surprised that he's got the push he has already, but he's creating that by going against the lane a little bit. He's not doing it because the push and the shim are there yet. They might create that, and that might be the last thing you want to do for Barnes. Is create a shim around 20, but that's what might happen. So, and Hess is pretty good in there too, and I'm sure Barnes and Hess would like a rematch of 2 years ago here.
Oh, Tom would for sure. There's no question about that. He remembers those things, those matches, and of course, newly inducted PBA Hall of Famer in Mr. Tom Hess. His first event for both those players out here on the tour this year. They both bowled the TOC last week in Akron.
I can't see if he did get the 10 out, but again, he gets it just a touch wide, and the ball just doesn't quite tip back. Now, in a couple games, that spot might develop, and that might be dead flush, but for right now, it's just a little touchy. I don't remember what the ratio was on this pattern, but I'm going to guess it was like 3-1, 4-1, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was just under 3-1, I believe.
So it takes a little bit of time for that to develop, and you have to be really good. And that wasn't terrible, but he wasn't really good that time. And fortunate to just leave a 2-pin there and extend his lead. Up by 25 with about half game to go, and your partner's struggling, or your opponent's struggling. It's a good feeling to have right there.
No doubt about it. But as we've seen multiple times, it's momentum swings. You can't let up. If you get up here, if Tom opens and Parker doubles, things get a little bit shaky there. So he's got to keep his foot on the gas.
Absolutely. You don't ever want to give your opponent a chance to think they might win. You want to keep the pressure on them as much as you can. That was dead flush. And the thing about Tom is, he made a couple of these shows, but he did win last year. And he's probably a different player in the Stepladder finals now that he's won and got that under his belt. So I won't see the nerves that we saw in the past from him. I mean, he might still get nervous, but he'll handle it much better. And I expect him to be pretty tough the rest of the day.
Yeah, he's got an amazing resume before hitting the tour, but yeah, once you got that win, you can tell it's different, right? That the confidence is there where it should be. And gets the 10 out, but again, it's going to be a little too late for Parker. But yeah, it was a pretty long introduction to the top 5 for the Stepladder, going through some of their accolades. Every one of them's got a very impressive resume in their bowling careers.
Little spare celebration for Parker. He kind of sees the writing on the wall, figures he might as well make the best of it. He realizes a top 5 is still a top 5, and you move on to next week.
Well, 214 is the max now for Parker. Tom Adcock's pacing 219, so still a slim chance, but he needs a lot of things to go his way right now.
That was one of them. Yeah, it was nice. Parker's son came down and watched him a little bit this morning. I'm sure he doesn't get that to happen very often anymore. So, as well as Barnes' kid, Ryan is here watching him. So,
yeah, Justin hopped on the train from Savannah this morning at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
bring the train up or over. I'm not sure which direction it is. I think it's got to be.
It's got to be southeast. Got to be down. No, maybe it's straight across here.
You know what? Let's not tell people that we had geography in high school 30-some years ago, and we might be able to figure that out. But
now again, he's light on that lane, but fortunate to just leave an 8-pin. So yeah, that's just where the trick comes in, because if he tries to inch his body right, or if he tries to slow the ball speed down, the ball should go left almost immediately. So as this goes on, this is going to be interesting how he decides to play that. He could go to a different ball. He could throw it a little, spin it more maybe. A few different things he could do, but I'll be curious to see what move he makes, because that's the second time in a row he's kind of gone light on that lane. So.
Well, I think we talked earlier about the one guy we saw on the field this week to kind of get away with that high flush and not get the overreaction was Glenn Morgan Smith. Whatever he did with his roll, we watched him sit here, throw multiple shots, and think, that's high. It's dead flush. It just stays there. But he doesn't have the big, heavy hand like some of these players do, right? So it's not going to overreact. But he had a great look for a while, just a tough end of his match earlier today. But a top 8 finish for Glenn.
Yeah, he used a little more surface, and basically he was playing the ball to burn up a little bit and just hoped that he wasn't black tinning. And fortunately for him, his earlier opponents gave him some opportunities, and he took advantage of it. But Tom didn't give him that opportunity. Tom took care of him when, like I said, Tom switched that urethane ball, and he had a really good look there. And once he went to the urethane ball, he pushed a little too much oil down the lane for Glenn, and Glenn was done. So,
but when that was a solid strategy, though, knowing when 210s is a decent game. Somebody's got to come out and shoot 230 or 40 to beat you. And that's what Tom Adcock did to get you to the Stepladder final.
that's pretty much going to do it for Parker right there. I mean, that was a pretty good shot. It just checked up a little bit. But to get back to what you said, yeah, we are not too far from Pinehurst, and par was a good score this week.
Yes, it was.
I mean, it may not have been in qualifying, but obviously in some of these matches, par was a pretty damn good score. And I would say on this pattern, about 210 was probably par, so that's about right.
Did you get out and get to play this week while you were here?
I did, actually. I got to play number 8 and number 4 before the tournament started. Very blessed, very lucky. I played well on number 8. Number 4 handed me my lunch.
This is a beautiful area, and then another split for Parker. We've got a chance. Seems like every time we go back and forth from the hotel, it takes us a different route. I think maybe the Visitors Bureau does it on purpose, so you get to see the whole area. But nice countryside around here.
Well, there's only a few roads that run in and out of this bowling center. So
well, I'll tell you, I swear, it's been different every single time.
Right, and it's just due to traffic, what time of the day you're leaving and so forth. But it's nice, like you said, you get to see a little country and a little scenic route. It's not so bad. So unfortunately for Parker, he is going to pay the full throttle mistake for being the only lefty on the show and not having anyone else break his side down. And you know, it's just one of those things on TV. Anything can happen, and unfortunately for Parker, it happened today. But the one thing we know about Parker is he'll throw 3 shots and he'll come back and shake Tom's hand. He'll still be smiling.
Absolutely. You know, and I wonder in a situation like this, I mean, these guys have done this for years. Parker knows he got beat the last match. I mean, yes, he's in a stepladder, but in your mind, do you feel like I'm supposed to be here? Right? Does that kind of sit there like, you know, I shouldn't even be here anyway? You know what I mean?
No,
Do you get a little bit of doubt?
I think the nature of this format, you know, knowing that the high remaining qualifier going into the round of 8, who obviously loses but still gets in, it's your bonus. And I mean, yeah, you got beat, but you know, it's top 5. Everyone knows the format. Everyone knows that qualifying matters, and you know, he took advantage of that. So I mean, a few times this year we've had some guys, or maybe not this year, but last year we've had some guys qualify in that wild card spot, and they made runs on the show. So you can't approach it like you don't deserve to be here. I mean, it's one match on one pair against somebody that, you know, if you don't match up to it right, you're done. So it's easy to lose that last match because you're bowling against the best guys of the week, you know, the top 8 guys.
Sure.
So I wouldn't approach it that way. I mean, I can't speak for Parker, but I would not approach it that way.
I'm just curious. I know we've used this format now for a while, and you know, I think Tom Hess actually made it from the 5 seed in one of the events to win it. Might have been one other.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, we don't keep stats like that. But that would be interesting to know that, you know, just how many times a wild card person has made it to the title match and indeed won the title. I know on the national tour, being the top seed hasn't been too advantageous this year.
Well, it's been about 50-50 over the last 5 years, almost exactly. This year it's been just a bit lower than that, unfortunately.
Yeah. So Parker's going to go ahead and step up here and go ahead and finish out. Since this match is already over, there's no need to let Tom finish his game. He'll probably let Tom shoot to spare, and then he'll step up and throw his shot.
Kind of fast track a little bit. We got Walter A. Williams Jr. warming up at the wings. It's funny you talk about the number 1 seed in the regular tour struggling this year. I don't remember who it was, but there was a conversation before the last round of a match play at the World Championship, and I'm drawing a blank on who the player was. But I heard him in the hallway talking. He's like, "Yeah, you know, I think I probably want, you know, if I'd be the 3 seed, I'd be happy." And I said, "No, you might be the 1 seed." It's like, "Well, yeah, but they don't always win. It's $100,000 for first, 50 for second. You're guaranteed 50 grand. You want to be the 1 seed." I mean, I understood what he was saying, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, the numbers aren't there, but no, you want to be the 1 seed.
I'd rather be the 1 seed any day of the week. You only have to bowl 1 game to win the title, and you're guaranteed second. So, I mean, I understand the philosophy of wanting to see the lanes and all that, and it may benefit you at times, but at the end of the day, your pocketbook's going to benefit from being the 1 seed every time.
Yeah. Not worth the risk.
I don't think so. So he crosses over there, and he's just being the showman that he is.
I think he's got to bring back the stash. That's what needs to happen. Bring it back again.
Is that when he started winning, when he had the stash?
Well, it was Evil Parker 2 years ago, right? He had the thin mustache going.
Yeah, 2 years ago, he's pretty much unstoppable. He was on the show like every week, it seemed like.
Yeah, we can't remember. If he won 4 or 5 events that year and took a week off. Then he bowled Mooresville.
Yeah.
167, 235. You see the 4 splits up there for Parker. Never got anything going. Started with a double, but then it was all downhill from there. And Tom Adcock took care of business.
If Walter can get on Tom early and make him think about it, maybe he can hold Tom off. But if Walter doesn't have any miss left, which he didn't on that last fill shot, you know, that he threw for his practice shot, if Walter can't create any miss left at all, Tom's going to beat him.
Okay.
Because if the ball's going right and trying to recover, Tom's going to outstrike Walter there. So Walter's going to have to be Walter. He's going to have to be a little more precise and just hit the pocket more times than Tom to beat him. I don't see him outstriking him any other way.
Well, here we go. Tom Adcock's going to start things out here in match number 2 after defeating Parker Bohn III in the opening match of the Stepladder final. What'd you see there?
I don't know if that was a matter of him not throwing any shots between and the first shot just being slow, or if just the lane sitting actually dried up a little bit more, but he didn't clearly open up the lane as much as he did on the other shots, and it stood up immediately. So he may have to move further left and throw it against the grain, so to speak, a little bit more, or he may have to go to a weaker cover, maybe a shinier cover to help push the ball through the front part of the lane. We'll have to see what move he makes, but I think probably more than anything it was just stiff. He didn't throw a shot while Walter warmed up, and the first shot's hard. You know, they used to always say commercial break. Coming out of commercial break was a hard shot. Well, that's a long commercial break for Tom Adcock right there.
So, and Tom got to go throw a few shots on the warm-up lane if he wanted to, though. But is that something that you like doing between or not? Because could that confuse you?
No, what I used to do when I made the top 5 and won a match, I got to bowl in other matches, I'd take my spare ball over to the other pair and just throw a couple shots to stay loose, but I wasn't trying to gather any information because clearly it's not the same pair. So.
Right.
But I do believe there's a benefit to staying loose. Now, he got that in, see? He didn't get that to the right. He got that in, and he didn't have hold. Now, he's fortunate just to leave the 6-10 there, but if he does that a lot and Tom can get his ball to push to the right, Tom's going to beat him. But it could be just that lane, too. The left lane could just be breaking down, and they may be forced to play it differently than the right lane, and whoever figures it out quicker will be the one to move on. They both got one shot on it now. I figure they'll both make the adjustments, and should be a pretty good match from here on out.
Just teasing us there. Just teasing us.
Yeah, I mean, Walter's been known to go for months without missing any single or 2-pin combination spares, and he's shown he's human a little bit more the last couple of years, but I guarantee you his spare percentage is still way up there.
I think we might have saw him miss a 10-pin this week. Maybe. I heard a rumor. I didn't see it myself, but I heard it. I heard it may have happened. Yeah, Tom got that one a little bit farther right down lane, and it did recover. So can you get the push here on this left lane is the question.
So Flanagan has predicted that Tom will win this event, but he, of course, he said he's playing the odds because there's 2 Toms in the field right now. So, way to go, Mike.
It's not a bad pick. But Chris Barnes and Walter Ray got something to say about that, though.
Absolutely, but I mean, there's 4 players left, so you got a 50% chance already. Let's see, he got that one a little bit more right, and obviously he struck, but that one did come in a little high flush, so I think he's going to have to make a move on that lane. But you run the risk here. If you move in a little bit and then you get a little quick with one, you run the risk of 2-8-10ing again. So
that's what I was just thinking. I was going to ask you that question exactly. So. Get out of my head, Michael Hogan.
Oh, that was just vintage Walter right there, dead flush. So we'll see what kind of move he makes. Does he just throw it better on this left lane, or does he actually move in a little bit on this left lane? I think he's going to do both. I think he's going to pinch in, and I think he's going to throw it better.
It's just one of his quarter board moves, or a little more.
You know, he may not even move in. He may just loft it more. You know, there's no telling. He's got so many tricks. So, but at the moment, it looks like he did move in a little bit. Yep. So he did move in a little bit. He did throw it better, and consequently, 10 straight back. That's the reason why he's won so many times.
It's in the 130 range. I can't keep track anymore of combined between all the regionals and senior regionals and national tour or PBA50 tour 16 times on this tour. Got his first PBA60 win last year in Columbus.
Yeah, he's definitely had an impressive career. Oh, really good shot. Really good shot. I mean, I can't see the ball speed. Maybe just a touch quick. But I think he would take that off his hand every time. That was really good.
Well, and you can see it by that reaction. Looks like that shot on left lane got him some confidence, and he was ready to walk that one out. He peered that one.
Well, like I said, off his hand, I liked it. I'm sure he liked it. And I'm sure if you told him he could have that shot for the next 8 shots, he wouldn't throw another one. He would robo-repeat that. And probably end up okay, too. But this is the lane I'm curious to see what he's going to do. He's going to re-rack right now, it looks like. But I'd be curious. Yeah, the 1-3s here, a couple of these pairs, the 1-3s are really tight. 3 gets pushed in a little bit, pushed to the left towards the head pin a little bit. Really is at a flat 10 on that with the way we're playing the lane, and he's using surface. It'd be really is at a flat 10, so he can't afford to really fall much more behind Walter, so he needs this to be a good shot, needs a strike here.
Yeah, and this isn't a building where we're seeing a lot of pins flying. I don't know if we've seen many at all, pop out to go, like going at 7-10s, or even not a ton of messengers here this week.
No, the pins go into the pit if you're shooting 7 pins and 10 pins, and the messengers tend to stay in front of the 10 pin here. Yeah, he threw that one really good. So I think he did move in just a touch, but it's hard to tell. But he did throw it really good. There was no worries about a high flush there. That was a really good shot.
That ball just looked like it got bigger as it got closer to the pocket.
Sometimes they do. It's weird how when some guys let it go and you see the ball stand up on its axis and it looks like it is growing in size, and there's like no way nothing's going to stand up. I wish my ball would do that more often.
Maybe next week.
Now see, he did get that a little wider, and that messenger actually went behind the 10 pin that time. But that's what we were talking about pregame. If the miss is right, he's not going to outstrike Tom. But if he can create hold left, and he's begging right there, the machine didn't set it down. He was begging for that to be put back up. But
no goat carry on that one.
Yeah.
Good question though. Doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah. I actually threw in qualifying that wasn't quite that much of a messenger, but I left a 10 pin and I turned around. And I turned it back around to shoot the spare, and then my guys on my pair go, "Oh, you got it." And I don't know how it fell, but it ended up falling, so that was kind of cool. So the match is even right now, but Tom's working on a strike, so halfway through, I say small advantage to Tom Adcock, but this is obviously a lot closer match than we saw the first one.
Well, he gave that everything he had.
Looked like it had a little bit more loft than the shot before on that lane. Consequently, just went a little longer down the lane and set up in front of the pocket instead of continuing ring 10. But again, like Tom's ring 10 on the right lane, I think they'd both take those shots all day. So, and that could have been that rack too. I mean, I can't see that rack that closely from where we're at, but if that 3 pin's pushed in at all, it's easy to ring 10, flat 10 on this. So, although I will tell you, Walter's not a big re-racker, and his philosophy is if you throw it good, it shouldn't matter. It'll still strike. So it would have to be pretty off spot for him to re-rack it. He just tends to play it like golf. He plays it as it lies.
I'm with him on that too, but for different reasons. I don't throw it good enough to strike. But the very first time I bowled men's league, I took a re-rack in like the 3rd frame, and it went Runaway Brooklyn. And I never heard the end of it, so I don't know if I've re-racked since then.
Now that one I couldn't see. He walked in front of it, but it looked like it was a flat 10, that ball. the ball kind of burn up a little bit. So they might be affecting each other's break point a little bit. Definitely not through the front, but the break point, they could be playing off each other a little bit. So they'll have to make some moves.
His reaction, I think he liked it, though.
Yeah, but I mean, you're still on a ball with surface, and it doesn't take much, you know, a little more early roll, or maybe just a touch carry down, and that ball doesn't see it, doesn't continue, and all of a sudden you're flat 10ing. So a 1-pin match, 4 frames to go. 2-pin match, sorry. 4 frames to go, far from over. We'll see who makes the adjustments for carry, because obviously they're both hitting the pocket. At this point, I wouldn't mind finishing first. And interesting enough, Walter did make Tom finish on that right lane. That's the lane that Tom is struggling on for carry. So
he just relaxed a little bit on that shot and just rolled it.
yeah, you know, sometimes when you try to make it strike, it doesn't always happen. And other times when you say, okay, I'm just going to hit the 1-3 and whatever happens, happens, you relax and no tension in your swing and you strike. So easier said than done, but getting your mind to relax like that is the trick. Again, a touch right and another half 10 for Walter. And it's kind of what I thought would happen if the ball was forced to get right and come back, that Adcock would have the advantage, and not a big advantage, but 3 pins right now.
Well, one thing different this week than normal is we did not have a camera on this pair through all the qualifying, so we haven't seen any tendencies of this pair, what the racks were doing, you know, where the best, you know, way to hit the pocket was to carry. So
I will say, like we talked about, you said why were the players forced to move in, and it's because of the surface of the building. So you've got 44 feet, and we're forcing players to move in, and as they're moving in, the ball is actually burning up a little bit to come back. So, you know, that's been a characteristic. I would say the real flush or the high flush hit's been pretty good this week, whereas a lot of times the half pocket light hit's is mostly pretty good. But that's the best hit right there, when you can get in at that angle, and you know, even if you're high flush, it'll strike there, and then if you're half pocket, you can still slap the 6 into the 10.
that is actually 129 in the 6 for Tom Adcock, not 130. Somehow the computer is having a math issue. It wasn't us this time.
Yeah, it's 1 pin of handicap somewhere. I don't know. So I was right. It was a 1-pin match when I called it a 1-pin match, but I looked at the score and
yeah, you can't trust those scores.
Yeah, I got to do old school. We got to do it by hand.
Oh,
I got that in.
Yeah.
Got that way in, actually, and it's fortunate just to leave a 5-pin there. I mean, with the amount of friction on the lane, that's been a 5-10
right
for a few guys this week when they've got it to that spot. So again, guys, if you're watching at home, the score is giving Tom 1 more pin than he actually has.
It'll be 149 in the 7th.
Now it's giving him another pin. He's picking up pins by not even striking.
Wow,
I like this. Who does
yeah,
Tom know?
I want to bowl on this pair.
So, as Craig said, he's actually got 149 in the 7th with the spare in the 9th, or spare in the 8th, excuse me. So it's a 2-pin lead, but now it's advantage Walter because Walter's on the strike. That was a much better shot. Was fortunate to trip the 4 out, but that was a much better shot off his hand. Trusted it, got the ball to the spot.
So what I'm sitting here thinking, regardless of who wins this game, is what does this do for Barnes and ultimately Tom Hess, as far left as Adcock is right now?
Well, I mean, Adcock looks like he's throwing a pie with surface on it. So he's throwing a pretty strong bowling ball with some surface. I'm going to be willing to bet that Hess and Barnes will probably use a cleaner ball. They may not have to move as far left right away. But what I think is happening is I think the lane's actually getting better for those two guys, because they're both capable of getting in and, getting in and sending it to the right.
Sure.
So Tom's score is correct now. At 169, they have it correct. So the score is correct. Walter struck, so now Walter is up by 8. Setting in a 10th frame, a double, shuts him out. For those that can't do it, max score for Walter Ray, 237. Max score for Tom, 229. And 10 straight back. Ball in hand for Walter Ray. If he were to strike here and not foul, he would move on to the semifinal match. If he doesn't strike here, Tom can step up and win the match. What do you think, Craig? 10 straight back for Walter here?
I'm not sure you can ever bet against Walter Ray Williams Jr. needing to strike. I don't think I ever would.
Maybe if he was 80. Got that one wide and got the half pocket mixer, and as long as he stays behind the foul line.
Got a little something on that one.
He did give it the business for him, though. He got a little more on that one. Stays behind the foul line, hits 3 pins, he will be a winner.
Just going right down the middle. He's still a hook a little bit. He only needs a few, so.
That was a little tester for him, I think. He knew he had the game won as long as he stayed behind the foul line. I think he was trying to see what he could do and get away with a little bit there. I will say I'm surprised. Like you said, you don't ever bet against Walter, but the shot did call for you to go away from the pocket a little bit, and Walter prevailed. But he's won a lot of times when he wasn't supposed to. So
that's always a question that comes up through the years, right? If there's one guy that's you bet on to strike, not picking yourself, who would you pick through history of bowling? Who's the guy?
Mark Roth. Yeah, Mark Roth, without a doubt. If I ever needed a strike in the 10th, I want Mark Roth throwing it for me.
Okay.
100%. I'd never seen anybody better in a pressure situation than him. Now, obviously, some guys are pretty good. I mean, obviously, the last time Pete won the U.S. Open on tour, he threw it pretty damn good to win. But if it came down to one shot, and I'm dying or living, I want Mark Roth throwing it.
Can't argue with that one either.
Yeah.
He's thrown it for the cheese quite a few times in his career.
Yeah. And even if I had a great look, I still might tap his ass and say, "Hey, Mark, throw this for me."
Yeah. Well, another good finish in this building for Tom Adcock, 3rd this year.
4th.
Oh, sorry, 4th this year. See, I'm giving him extra spots just like the score did.
Yeah.
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 So there's a matchup we've seen several times throughout the years. Chris Barnes, Walter Ray Williams Jr. semifinal match. Winner advances to take on Tom Hess.
Now, Brian Kane, we haven't heard from you much, but who's your prediction to win this match?
To win this match, I would go with Walter Ray Williams Jr. Just because he's had a game under his belt and he has a good look, and he is the GOAT.
What do you think, Craig?
Well, as I said last game, it's tough to ever pick against Walter, especially when he just needs a strike. But Chris looked pretty good his last match. He's looked good for the majority of this tournament, and he's a guy. He's a tactician. He's never going to get tricked out there. So I got to give Barnes a slight edge here, I think, in this match.
And I agree with you. I think we are going to see a Barnes-Hess rematch for the title match here.
And the biggest reason I say that is because Barnes can get farther left than Walter, right? Which he might have to do. Oh, wow. Oh, does that not carry? He's thinking, come on, can't get any breaks.
Yeah. Now, again, like you said, we know Barnes can get further left than Walter, and that should be advantageous. But we thought that last match, too, and Walter proved us wrong. So maybe we shouldn't put that out there too much, because we might Brian might look like the soothsayer. We might look like idiots. But
Brian's also always comes out as a genius in this booth, so we're used to it. So let's throw it to the chat. Barnes or Walter Ray, and why? Not just pick a guy, but you tell us why. Is that a quantum? Is that Evo he's throwing?
Looks like it was some other ball. Is it like an Infinity or something?
Oh, that could be. Similar colors.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's the Quantum Evo. I think it's the Infinity.
Well, like I said, Walter's going to go dead flush, and he's going to dominate. It's a good shot for Walter after watching those guys get their couple practice shots in. And he just does what Walter Ray does.
So Darren says Walter Ray because he graduated from Cal Poly. I don't know what that has to do with striking, but good on you, Darren. That's as good a reason as any for someone to win, I guess. So it looks like the chat room is split. Some people are saying Walter because straighter is greater, and other people are saying, like you said, Chris because he can get further left. So it'll be interesting to see. But Walter looked really good there the last two shots.
Yeah, those weren't too shabby. Yeah, Walter's shown some of that youthful exuberance, here today as well. So it's good to see. Fans is here watching, cheering him on. His wife. They've got to get out on the golf course. I think took a tour of one of the courses this week as well. There's several players got to do that, and Chris comes up light.
That's that right lane again that we remember Tom was struggling with a little bit. Come up light a couple times. So maybe Brian has got the crystal ball and seeing the future better than we are. But the match is still early. Well, I will tell you, I was watching football last year, and Packers were playing somebody on TV. I don't remember, maybe it was the Lions or something. And I said, the Packers have no chance to win. They haven't been playing very well. And of course they win. And then I didn't pick them to beat the other teams that they beat. They almost beat the 49ers in a championship game. So all I need to do is pick you right now, and you probably won't win. So
well, I'll be calling you during football season then.
Absolutely. Bet against Mike. I don't know if he ball changed or not.
That's the attention star.
No, still the attention star. And that was a much better shot. Might have pinched in a little bit more and created a little bit more angle to the front, creating a little bit more hold, and we know he's got enough power to strike from in there.
Yeah, Chris goes from one of the lower rev guys in a regular tour a few days ago to one of the higher rev guys on this tour.
I don't care how much Selane's hooking. When you hit the 1-3 there, you're tough to beat. And he's showing you why he's won so many titles right there.
Look, he cheated right on that one too.
Looked like he did. It looked like he got a little further right, threw it a little firmer, a little more loft, and the ball just finished right where it's supposed to, touching the 1-3, 5-9. Shout out to Bo Burton. You hit those 4 pins, you'll strike. All right, now he's just making us look foolish.
Somebody told him. Those guys up there don't think you can win, Walter. That is not the same ball in this lane.
So did he go to the blackout?
No, that's...
Could be the eternity then. I don't know.
No, I'm drawing a blank right now. It's not the power or absolute power, but it's definitely not the attention star. The right lane, as you mentioned, that's been the tough one. Trying to get all 10 pins down.
That's the eternity. Looks like the eternity on that lane. Looks like it's got a little pink and gray and a little swirl in it. So I'm going to go with the eternity for now.
Okay.
Considering that we can't really see it that well on this, and I don't know. This is when we need our roving reporter. I'm not picking anybody next match.
No. We'll just let Brian do all the picks, all the prognostication here in the booth. Every time we do our draft picks, draft our fantasy teams, he crushes us. Well, like we saw with Parker earlier, Chris is in a world of hurt. 85 in the fifth, and Walter's got himself a good look going front four.
Let's see if he stays with that. A little more loft and a little more direct on this right lane like he did the last shot. Looked like he did, but he looked like he just missed right just a touch. But pretty good shot, obviously. But he's in a position right now where he really just needs one more double and to stay clean, and he'll win the match.
Right.
So actually, he just needs to stay. Well, yeah, he needs one more double and to stay clean, and he'll win the match. So, assuming that Chris strikes out.
Yeah, Barnes back 235.
You know, by Walter's standards, that was almost a miss on that 10 pin there. He barely got it, but barely does count.
Yeah, it's the front left corner of it.
Now, surprisingly, Barnes had the choice to finish. And Barnes chose to finish on the right lane. Most of the time, the pros will make the opponent finish last. Barnes chose to make himself finish last, so that means he really did not like that left lane. Judging by the first frame where he went high, and then judging by the last frame where he went high, we can see why he's chooses to finish on the right lane now. So we know that John Handegard is the oldest player to win on the PBA National Tour at 57 years and some odd age. How many months? What's the oldest player to win on the Senior Tour?
That's a great question.
Does anybody know in the chat? Can someone tell us that answer? Because Walter is 63. I have to think somebody over 63 has won before, but maybe not.
So we need Eric Hartman. He knows all. I think Ron Moore might have been early 60s when he won his last title. All right, 235 still for Barnes. Walter's pacing 229.
So someone's saying Jim Brenner.
I'm not familiar with that name.
Well, you guys are guessing. Someone tell me the facts.
How about Tita? I wonder how old was Tita Semez when he won last.
Actually, we might be able to look it up because they'll tell you what year they did it. Walter rips the rack there.
$1997 for Tita Semez, a showboat, St. Petersburg Open.
I don't know how old that would have made him, though.
No.
I remember Gene Stuss won one, and I don't think he was young when he won it, but I don't know how old he was. So.
He was born in 1934. Well, 63 for Tita. He would have been.
That's how old Walter is right now. So that would, depending on the actual months. But I don't know. I just feel like there's someone else that won older than that.
Gene Stuss was 62.
Bohn strikes again, still mathematically in the match, but Walter's got 270 if he strikes out, 240 with the spare. Chris basically needing to strike out and hope Walter makes a mistake. And Chris is definitely throwing two different bowling balls. He's throwing, it looks like the Attention Star in the left lane, probably the Eternity on the right lane. Someone says Langer won at 65. I don't know if that's the PGA Tour or not. Maybe it was. I don't know. There you go. Froberger saying Jim Brenner at 66 years old.
Yeah, Stykov says the same. I don't know that name.
And they're saying Walter's 64.
Well, we can verify that answer. All right, Chris Barnes looks like he's got himself a third place finish. Not going to defend his title here in this building in Aberdeen.
No, it's mathematically over now. You're right. So Walter's actually got the right lane where everyone's struggling on. He's moved right, like you said. He's throwing it over the front a little bit. He's actually got the lane to open up for him. So I'd be willing to bet that Hess will make Walter finish on the right lane, but that's probably not going to hurt Walter as much as it did the other players. So there you go. They're saying Google says Jim Brenner, 66 years old in 358 days, almost 67 years old.
All right.
So while it would still be very impressive if Walter were to win today, he still will not be the oldest winner on the PBA50 Tour.
Let's wait 2 years. Yeah. He'll still be out here bowling.
He probably will be. And, you know, he'll probably win it two-handed, of all things.
That'd be a story, huh?
Yeah.
Come get that record, Anthony Simonson or Jason Belmonte.
I don't think we'll see Jason bowl in the PBA 50 tours.
No.
Not a lot of money and no reason for him to be out here really with his legacy. He might bowl one just to say he won one, but that'd probably be about it. On the Chris showing his versatility, he moved right, threw it harder and straighter to the last shot, and of course he struck.
Well, 236 and 263 winning scores for Walter A. Williams Jr. He's going to get newly minted Hall of Famer Tom Hess in this next match. Former Rookie of the Year, former Player of the Year, 5-time titleist on this tour. So Tom's picking to finish on that left lane where Barnes didn't like that one as much. And I'm not sure it makes a difference for Walter right now.
So I don't know if we've mentioned this or not, but obviously the Granville Open, we got to thank the Granvilles for sponsoring the tournament. Adam Krause and Sandhills Bowling Center, and the Perfect Fit Pro Shop here at the Bowling Center, and usebowlingballs.com have helped contribute to sponsoring this tournament. So thank you guys very much for your support. We didn't get here last year. We were off a year, and we were glad to be back here, and hopefully we will continue to come back here in the future.
Both players start with the strike. I saw Bam. He's here today. We've seen him a few times this week. I thought it was funny. We were here setting up during Pro-Am, and Bam walks up, and the guy at the counter says, "Well, did you pay your Pro-Am entry?" I looked around and just kind of smiled. I was like, he didn't know who that was.
Yeah, he paid it a few times over.
Yeah, I think he's good.
And if he didn't, I'll pay it for him.
All right, here we go. Tom Hess looking to start with a double.
The messenger rang, but it dialed the wrong number there. Haven't seen too many like that this week, where they kind of ran out of juice there right in front of it. They've either ran across the front or they've just ran behind it, but that was kind of a weird one.
One thing to keep an eye on here, Tom talked to us during the break after the advances round where he was really getting quick in there, so he's really worked the last couple matches on keeping the ball speed in check. And we know how strong he is. He can definitely get in there and gas him once in a while, so just kind of watch for that if his miss is past everything, if he gets a little amped up.
Absolutely, and you know, he is steeper through the front. So if he does get quick, the ball can push, like you said, and just not cover quite enough, and that will be what we need to watch for with him. He looked like he liked that off his hand, but to me that got right earlier and picked up. Could also be the pressure of winning again. You said he hasn't won in a couple years, and we clearly know he wants to win again. But for the first time in a while, Walter's trailed.
Yeah. I'm not even sure if I remember him. Yeah, I can't. I'm not even going to try to guess when his last stepladder was. We know his last win was at Odessa in 2022 on this PBA50 tour. He's won regionals since then. He won a doubles regional with Dio Bernard back in December. He won some of those special events in Phoenix, that we saw earlier this year. But on this tour, he has 16 wins. Looking for 17. Tom Hess looking for number 6. What I always found interesting with Walter's game is how, from these angles, it looks like he really gets the ball far away from his body, but he still manages to get leverage on it.
Yeah, he definitely has a a game or a swing you wouldn't teach per se, but he's perfected the art of being square at the foul line and being in the right position at the foul line. And obviously nobody's been a better winner than him. So if they had fixed Jim Vierik's swing, he would have never been the successful golfer he was. And Walter does what works for Walter. So. You mentioned earlier that, you know, Tom and Chris had that title match last year, and you said Tom remembers very well. Tom wants to win this week very badly, obviously. He felt like that one got away from him when he didn't win the Barnes 2 years ago, and to get back in the title match here, and for him to win, knowing Tom the way I do, it would mean the world to him. So
absolutely,
I know he'll give everything he has to make sure that he has a chance to win. So he won't leave anything in the bag, so to speak.
There's a very great point he had in his Hall of Fame speech a couple days ago. He talked when he finally made the commitment to be a bowler, full-time to be a bowler, and how that turned into success. And here on this tour, where he became Hall of Fame eligible and ultimately got in the Hall of Fame this year. So pretty good career so far, but he's got several years left in him.
Absolutely. And to your point earlier about what you said he was working on this week, that last shot he threw in the left lane was definitely a little bit slower, a little bit better roll, and ball finished between the 8 and 9, and you could see the emotion out of him, the fist pump as he walked back. Definitely wants this one. That one's wide. That's got to be a product of him going high the last shot. And I don't know if he just made a move or just lost it off his hand, but that's a shot you don't see Walter Ray make very often right there. I haven't seen this spare made very much this week. The headpin likes to wrap around the 10 here for some stupid reason. Just like that. I don't know why, but this is one bowling center where it does that quite a bit. Sorry, Walter.
Can we blame that one on Jim Callahan as well?
No, I mean,
unfortunately,
yeah,
we've seen it. Yeah.
That's just a characteristic that I think as a center is, you know, in some bowling centers, that's exactly how you make them. But in here, you have to get it to hit the wall sooner or just never touch the wall to make them more. I don't know why that is, but it just is the way it is.
And the old got a plaque 10 there on that one. 7 even kind of falls a little bit late. Walter's losing his mojo there. His good reaction to the pocket that he had that last game, last 2 games. 499 his 2 games here total. 236, 263. And right now Tom Hess is licking his chops.
Hess did get the 10 to go late the last time on the right lane, and the time before that he was obviously light. If he softens up his speed a little bit like he did on the left lane, I suspect he'll take 10 back. And if he takes 10 back there, I think he's going to strike on the left lane, and I think this match is going to be over. I know, big prediction there, but but I think this is the key shot to keep his momentum going, and he knows he needs this one, and I suspect it'll be in the 1-3.
Well, he sees the picture, he knows what he's got to do. Now it's just let the body take care of business here. Looks a little quicker. Oh, that wasn't bad.
Nah, you can't throw much better than that. Now what he does have to guard against is getting too soft and this ball not getting to the break point and then checking up. So let's make sure he still stays through it even though he's trying to throw it slower.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, he could see that was a little higher, but he did get through it nicely, and that, you know, obviously helped it push and stay there. But I suspect he'll move a little bit on the next shot there. But amping up doesn't do any good. It brings a 7-10 into play and some other things. So I suspect he'll keep that ball speed. He'll just pinch in on that left lane, especially if Walter doesn't strike and he knows 9 spare is good enough to get it done. So not that getting inducted into the Hall of Fame is ever a bad thing, but Tommy Jones got inducted into the Hall of Fame and shot 300 right away, and Hess got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and he's on the verge of winning the next title, the next tournament he bowls in.
Did Tommy win that week as well?
Remember? I think he might have. I think he bowled Darren Tang or something, didn't he? Won or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he did win that week.
So,
yeah.
Shot 300 and won. Yeah, I think on TV. So, could someone hurry up and put me in the Hall of Fame, please?
Yeah, before next week.
Yeah, probably not going to happen, but. Now, what I thought would happen to Walter's ball reaction is happening a game later than I predicted it would, but this is kind of what I thought would happen. With him, he was bowling Barnes. I thought Barnes would do what Hess was doing, and Walter might struggle a little bit.
.213 the max score now for WRW2. That right lane got him a couple times.
Yeah, which we were talking about was probably his better lane at one point, and it has jumped up and bit him a couple times. So probably both times, though, was a victim of him not making the best shot either. So. Another great shot there. I think the key is what he told you right there, Craig. He's really staying soft at the bottom for Tom Hess, and he's getting through the ball nicely, and the ball's not overreacting, and obviously it's going to the pins phenomenal right now. So kudos to him for working on something and being able to do it under pressure, and I think he's one shot away from pretty much us handling him this title.
It's going to take a lot of things to go off the rails here for Tom not to win this week. So, Michael, is that the hardest thing to do in these situations when you're bowling for a title? Is keep things slow?
Well, keep things slow in your head, maybe. For me, physically, the hardest thing is throwing it slow. He did throw that slow there. For me, when I want to throw the ball really slow, that's hard for me to do. But in this particular situation, I mean, Tom clearly has the match in hand. So sometimes the hardest thing is to stay focused and stay, on your game plan and stay dedicated to each shot. You can get ahead of yourself sometimes, start thinking about other things, instead of focusing on task at hand. But he is in a luxurious position of, if he feels frames, he's going to win this tournament. So he was soft there and left 3-6-10. He obviously covered it. I'll bet you whatever money I have in my pocket, he doesn't throw the next 2 shots slow. He'll make sure they get there and be aggressive and get to the pocket. But I mean, he's literally 1 spare away from locking this up. Again, assuming Walter Ray strikes out.
Yeah, I mean, Tom goes 9 out. 9 out is 214. Walter's max is 213. So Walter's got to punch out, and he needs something crazy to happen to Hess the last 2 frames. And that one doesn't
that's
get
going to do it right there. So he went, obviously 3 shots ago, he went high on what he thought was a good shot. Looked like he made a small adjustment, didn't throw it quite as good, and missed a head pin right, and then makes a small adjustment off of that, and now that ball hooks on him, and he's got no answer for that right lane right now.
And this goes back to where we're talking, right? The advantage of being able to get deeper than your opponent, right? Is that kind of what's cost him here? Is just being able to get steeper on the lane, steeper through the fronts, getting the clean part of the heads?
Yeah, I think like we talked about at the beginning when you asked me why the pattern forced you left, it's because the fronts and the mids hook here. And so Walter's going two-handed now just for the hell of it to try to open up the lane like Hess and those guys are doing. But because the fronts and the mids hook so much here, just the fact that Walter bowled 3 games on there now, he's drying up his own line. And now he's forced to move in a little bit.
Right.
But then when you move in a little bit, you start to get in the laydown points where those guys started. And so now he has to make another move, hence the reason why he went two-handed. So that's why like Hess and Barnes had such a better look per se, moving in and going against the pattern because they were able to create false hold. And it's just very advantageous on that. If there wasn't so much friction on the lane, these guys would be further right. And Walter might have been able to stay out there a little bit longer and maybe bowl another 260 game, but even just your own, like when I bowl my matches, I don't have the highest rev rate, and I was moving left off my own shot almost the whole time because the oil just doesn't hold up long enough in there. It's flatter and it's just going away. That's a winner right there, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Tom shed a tear. He tends to get emotional. He has a great passion. He loves this game, and it means something to him. Some of these guys bowl and kind of go through the motions, but this means everything to Tom when he wins. And
Well, I guarantee I'm going to go down there and interview him here in a second. I'm going to make him cry.
all right.
That's my goal. So, Michael, if you would hang out here for a few minutes, we appreciate you sitting in on the step ladder. But I'm going to go down there and talk to our champion, Tom Hess, and we'll come back in here, and then we'll close it out for the evening. So stick with us. We'll have a winner's interview, and then Michael and I will wrap things up right here.
So Hess is clearly just going through the motions now. He's going to be in the 250s. Best Walter can do is 193 if he doubles. And this slow rack and the wait for the pins is about the only thing that could have slowed Tom Hess down today. Well deserved. He bowled great. And Tom Hess is our 2024 PBA50 Granville Financial Open champion. After being runner-up here 2 years ago, we didn't bowl here last year. We came back this year. And Tom is going to take home the first place check and pick up his 6th title. Walter's going through the motions. He is again two-handing it and dead flush, and he might ask himself why he didn't make that move sooner. But again, Walter at 63 or 64 years old, very impressive to be able to not only adapt and learn to bowl two-handed, but to be able to do it like that on the fly. I mean, he switched in the 9th frame and he's got 2 strikes. That's very impressive. Aaron, I'm not sure, but I believe first place is about $8 grand this week. Thank you, Chase. Again, just stepped in because Tom wasn't here, and it's hard to carry a show by yourself, and Craig and Brian have been doing a great job all week doing it, but I figured I'd give them a little helping hand here for the show. So glad you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully it was good for you guys, and a couple guys may have learned something, and I learned something myself. You don't bet against Walter Ray in the semifinal match. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, so Walter Ray, being the showman, finishes up two-handed and throws the last 4 to lose by, well, he lost by a margin. We'll just leave it at that. But Walter Ray is great. I think he'll be back. And that's a wrap.